Frankincense, one of the gifts given by the three wise men to the newborn Christ. As rare and as precious as gold, its smoke was thought to have divine powers that directly connected man to his God. From its source in Oman, an epic trade route was forged across Arabia to the Holy Lands, where it was shipped throughout the ancient world. And along the way, entire civilizations emerged from the desert and prospered. Now, 5,000 years after the frankincense trade began, I'm following in the footsteps of one of the great epic trade routes of ancient times. My journey started in the mountains of southern Oman at the very beginning of the ancient frankincense route. Here, trees are still tapped for the resin that brought immense wealth to generations of Arab traders.
It's like diamonds.
With my own supply, I set off on the trail with the Al-Mari tribe, the descendants of the original traders, and crossed from Oman into Yemen, a country divided by tribal conflict.
We're going to be #1 target for the tribes to kidnap.
Despite this constant threat, I entered a world almost unchanged since the days of the frankincense trail. After walking nearly 700 miles across Oman and Yemen, the ancient traders walked north with their camels along the entire length of Saudi Arabia. To follow in their footsteps, I had to prepare to enter one of the most secretive countries on Earth.
You're going to have to give me intensive lessons on how to do this.
The overland border between Yemen and Saudi Arabia was closed, so I left the frankincense trail and flew to the Saudi capital, Riyadh, where the next part of my journey begins. Only 100 years ago, Riyadh was little more than a village, 4,000 or 5,000 people insulated from the world by a vast ocean of sand. Now it's the world center of the oil trade, estimated to make as much as $1 billion a day in profit. Up until now, Riyadh, like the rest of Saudi, has been virtually closed off to the non-Muslim world, and I'm only allowed to travel accompanied by my official male chaperone, Dowie.
Why has Saudi Arabia decided to be more open now?
What Saudi Arabia going to do? They want to change the idea about Islam, about life here. So everybody is welcome to come here and see Saudi Arabia, Saudi people, and our history.
To introduce me to modern-day Saudi Arabia, Dowie is taking me to meet a member of the royal family, a prince with a passion for business. And this is his office. He owns the entire building, and from here runs an empire that has made him the richest man in the kingdom.
So this is the entrance to the Kingdom Tower. See much from the car. It's a staggering building, though.
When demand for frankincense was at its height, those trading it became immensely wealthy. Today, I'm meeting a modern-day equivalent, but instead of trading frankincense, he's trading on the stock market.
One of the big problems about getting this invitation, which is great to meet Saudi's richest and one of the most influential men in the world, but what do you bring him as a gift? So do you think this is going to be all right as a gift? It's got frankincense inside it. Ears popping. Thank you. Hello. I'm fine, thank you very much. It's an amazing building, but an even more amazing office.
Yeah, it is, actually.
My name's Kate.
Renium, for protocol.
Very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you.
Please have a seat.
Okay, thank you. I suddenly feel quite overwhelmed and incredibly frumpy. How unfair is that, to be met by a woman not wearing a great big black sack, but a tiny little pencil skirt and perfect heels and enormous amounts of makeup?
This is the man. And he owns large chunks of all those companies. And even me, with my minimal business brain, has heard of most of those.
The Corporate Communications Department. I'm the deputy to...
Very nice to
How are
meet you.
you?
Very well. I'm
Welcome.
feeling a little overwhelmed, I have to say.
Yes, that's how I felt when I first
Really?
came here, but every morning as well.
Well, it's everything, the scale of everything, but also all of you are so glamorous, and I'm feeling a little bit kind of underdressed.
Well, you can take your abaya off if you like, yes?
And is there a proper form of address? Do I need to call him Your Royal Highness? Or...
Of course. I mean, his title is His Royal Highness Prince Alwaleed. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he sounds, from what I've read, he sounds absolutely fascinating, but quite scary.
There's no need to be scared.
And finally, I meet His Royal Highness Prince Alwaleed bin Talal.
Gosh, there's more cameras in here than there are outside. Hello.
Present to you His Royal Highness Prince Alwaleed. This is Kate Humble.
Your Royal Highness, very nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
My every action is being recorded by Prince Alwaleed's personal TV crew, which documents every minute of his public life.
Can I, before we start, can I give you this?
Yes, thank you.
Inside there is some frankincense that we collected in Oman.
Thank you. Oman, huh?
I believe you're the grandson of the founder of Saudi Arabia, is that right?
Yes. King Abdulaziz, yes.
I'm amazed that you bother to work.
I think every person has to work. It's part of our religion, part of our ethics, part of our habits is to work. I mean, every person has to work and produce.
You've amassed a huge fortune. Are you the richest man in the world? No?
No.
Not quite?
No, I'm among those, thanks God.
You're among them. Is there such a thing as too much money?
Well, you know, really, it's... you know, once you go beyond a stage, it really becomes academic because there is only so much you can do with the wealth. But more importantly is how you can apply your wealth to help society and plow back part of it to the system and advance certain causes that you believe in.
The meeting over, I'm unexpectedly asked to join the prince for the evening.
What?
He has a full-time staff of bodyguards and a convoy of vehicles that accompany him wherever he goes. I've been told we're going to head to the desert to attend a tribal gathering, but first we're going to pick up his wife, the princess, from his personal resort at the edge of the city.
I feel like I'm in a Bond film.
What do you mean unsecure?
We're in a cavalcade of these very kind of threatening-looking cars. I don't know whether they're bulletproof, but you suspect they are. And I want to ask him, but at the moment he's clinching some multi-million-pound deal, I think. There's lots of big numbers being bantered about. And are you constantly looking for new companies to invest in?
Oh, yes. Always looking, especially in these days, good opportunities.
Do you work very much on your own instincts?
I have to involve the investment committee.
Yeah.
And I like second opinion, always.
Yeah.
And I always tell my people working with me, you, in your particular position, you have to be better than me.
But you seem to be able to make decisions instantly.
Immediately.
Really?
Immediately.
Don't you ever have times where you just think, I don't know what to do?
Sure, no. If there is a decision for that needs some time and meditation, I do it. I take my time in the desert, for sure. But some decisions have to be taken immediately.
And you have absolute confidence that you can do that?
I just took a decision right now. And we're going to have a conference call right now based on that.
It turns out the prince was completing a deal to refinance America's biggest bank, Citibank. 15 minutes later, we arrive at Prince Alwaleed's city resort. Overlooking Riyadh, it's the size of 40 football pitches. He doesn't live here. It's more like a private playground. Reem, one of the prince's assistants, shows me around. It's described as a resort, but it's just for him and his family?
It's for him, his family, any guest coming from all over the companies, presidents, and many visitors from His Highness that he invites them always.
And does he sleep here? Does he have a house here, or is it just a kind of recreational?
There are some indoors facilities for His Highness, but depends on. Sometimes he spends the weekends around the resort, but the other days he spends it at the desert.
These giant Bedouin-style tents shelter guests and the prince's games. Some of the prince's prize camels and horses are tethered outside to be admired. Every day, the tents are taken down and put up elsewhere in the grounds for a different view. Waiting in the tent is the prince's fourth wife, 27-year-old Princess Amira, and her friend, an Egyptian television star.
Is he a very difficult man to be married to? Does he drive you mad sometimes?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. You know, with him, you have to be prepared for anything at any time, even though he's very busy. He knows how to share his time with his family. That's the most important thing for him.
When you married, was there a lot of interest? You know, I mean, our equivalent would be when Princess Diana married Prince Charles.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of interest when...
No, it was very cozy, you know, it was family wedding. I preferred it to be that way.
Just a simple...
Just a simple wedding, you know, because it was... this is the scent you brought.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, my mom loves it.
Does she?
Yes, yes.
But don't you worry that your husband is surrounded by so many beautiful women? I mean, not to say that you're not a beautiful woman, but
Yeah, no.
don't you sometimes get a little bit kind of, why does he need all these women around him?
No, because I know the cause behind it. And all of these beautiful women are well-raised women, you know, well brought up, and they all have great ethics. And with him, I don't worry about it. No. I actually encourage it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Then I travel along with the royal family for a further 2 hours through the night until we're deep into the Saudi Arabian desert. Every month, the prince meets with local tribal leaders and their subjects in a traditional event called a Majlis. As a welcome, each of the high-ranking guests is bathed in frankincense. They trap its sweet perfume in their clothing. Close to 1,000 tribesmen wait patiently in the background. There's no social security in Saudi Arabia, so it's custom for Arab leaders to give money to their people. Tonight, the prince will give away many hundreds of thousands of dollars of his personal fortune.
This is very unique to the Gulf region, and even more unique to Saudi Arabia. This tradition has been going on for, I would say, really since long time. It's part of the interaction between the members of the royal family and their subjects.
Right.
It's not obligatory, but I like to do it because it's part of my culture, part of me living in the Saudi society.
These tribesmen come from the region directly surrounding the prince's desert retreat. Some come just for themselves, some represent their entire family. Each has written his plea down on paper.
So you've had requests for helping to pay a lease on a house?
Yes, for this, for example, this guy says I have a lot of people and I want some money.
So a big family, and
Yes,
he
he
needs
says I
help
have
to
5
help
people.
support.
Say 5.
Okay, yeah.
The prince's personal assistant, Nala, is vetting requests.
This is his first time to submit a request to His Highness, and his request, he doesn't have any job, so his request is only asking for a car.
Do you have any idea how much money you've given away?
Oh,
How
tens of
many?
thousands.
Tens of thousands of cars?
And billions of dollars.
Wow.
وبي العوض من الله ثم منك بسيارة.
إن شاء الله.
هذه اللي بهالخيمة يواد.
إن شاء الله. هذا تروح توفت يعني ماتت.
بتقضى.
الله يرحمها.
وياك. نبي العوض من الله ثم منك.
Is he very happy?
No, he said that my car, I need the car.
He was saying, reiterating his request.
Emphasizing it.
Yeah.
Actually, overemphasizing it.
But he won't get penalised for that. He'll
No,
still get
never,
his car.
never.
Okay.
This has been going 25 years now. It's really Islam in practice.
So is there a concept of heaven that you go to a special place if you've...
No. I mean, this is, some people in the extreme Islam, they talk about these things, you know. I mean, a person does his duty and responsibility in the world, whether he's Muslim, Christian, or Jewish,
and then God decides where to put him.
With requests still coming thick and fast, I leave the prince to it. Tomorrow, I head south to rejoin the Frankincense Trail. No roads connect Riyadh to the trail, so I've hitched a lift with Saudi's National Parks Authority. We have to cross one of the largest deserts in the world to get there. I'm heading south towards the Yemeni border to where the ancient frankincense traders entered what is now Saudi Arabian territory.
Well, we've left Riyadh and we're heading south to rejoin the incense trail. The Cameliers, and indeed us, have to cross an area called the Empty Quarter. It's a huge expanse of sand, the biggest sand sea in the world.
This desert covers an area larger than France. Some of its dunes are over 1,000 feet tall.
Makes you feel tiny. It's just totally insignificant being in a landscape of this sort of vastness.
Crossing this huge desert takes 4 hours by plane. At the border, we return to the Frankincense Trail.
Thank you again, Hamid. Thank you.
مرحبا مرحبا هلا
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام كيف الحال؟ الحمد لله على السلامة.
الحمد لله.
كويس.
Abu Ali is the head park ranger of this immense territory.
It was wonderful.
A Bedouin tribal leader, he and his 30 park rangers patrol Saudi Arabia's border with Yemen. These Bedouin tribesmen have an intricate knowledge of the desert, which has enabled them to live for generations in one of the harshest environments on Earth.
Oh, I'm really back on the incense trail. Shukran.
It took the original traders 2 weeks to cross this wilderness, and it was one of their greatest challenges. To survive, they learnt to read the desert like a complex code for signs of food and water. Today, Abu Ali and his men use the same knowledge to track gun smugglers who work along the Yemeni border.
Abu Ali can identify someone's footprint, just one man's footprint, from a whole mass of prints in the sand.
Abu Ali is going to prove his tracking skills with a simple exercise. With his back turned, the 4 men walk away. By studying their tracks, Abu Ali will identify which man walked off first.
حنا الحين الحرامي أخذ ذهب مع مجموعة إن شاء الله نتبه بجرته حتى نمسكه نفسه. بعدين في حكومة سعودية هذا حرامي على طول يد قطع هذا.
Okay.
توكلنا على الله.
Let's see.
Abu Ali starts to inspect the numerous tracks in the sand.
This is your thief, is it?
Amazingly, he identifies the footprint and he's able to follow the man's track.
They've doubled back.
Just like a fingerprint, every footprint is unique. To Abu Ali's trained eye, it's easy to distinguish between individuals.
I just think this is absolutely miraculous.
And Abu Ali finds his man.
This is your bad man.
From this point, the traders and their camel caravans faced a further 5 days of walking to reach the edge of the desert. Beyond the dunes was welcome respite from the barren wilderness, a city built on the profits of the frankincense trade. Known today as Old Najran, these are its ruins.
I'll go and explore. See you in a bit. This would have been the gates to the old city, and 1,500 years ago, any of the cameleers who reached this point must have done so with a huge sense of relief, because they'd just completed the toughest, most unforgiving section of the route, and to get here must have felt like arriving at nirvana. In front of us, all these buildings here would have been the homes of rich merchants. The streets would have been cool and shady, full of tradesmen and markets, all cashing in on those giant camel caravans from the south.
The city was built before the advent of Christianity and Islam, and ancient pagan symbols adorn many of the buildings. Its strategic position on the Frankincense Trail made it a target for religious missionaries and for raiders. For hundreds of years, this was a peaceful Christian city, but a Jewish Himyar tribe from Yemen changed its fortune forever.
There's a legendary city mentioned in the Quran called Al-Uqdud, and some Saudi experts believe that this may have been it. And if it was, then it was the scene in 524 AD of the most horrific massacre. The city was besieged, and the Christian citizens given the most horrendous choice: convert to Judaism or die. They chose death, and over 20,000 of them perished in a pit of fire. Now, at that time, the overland trade routes were in decline, and this city probably would have lost most of its significance. But if it was indeed the scene of that massacre, maybe it was that event that helped bring about the end of one of the great cities built on the back of incense.
Just outside the ancient city are farming villages that are little changed since the time of the frankincense trade.
It's like we're in a whole different country down here, isn't it?
Yes.
And when the camel caravans were travelling through this area, would they have seen this sort of architecture?
Yes.
They're a great shape, aren't they? This sort of tall tower. And did you grow up in a house like this?
Yes.
And was it...
My grandmother still lives in one of these houses. It's very beautiful. It's very warm in winter and cold in summer.
It wasn't long before the caravans faced another great natural barrier. Not sand this time, but rock. The Asir Mountains are Saudi Arabia's biggest mountain range, and finding a safe route through them presented a formidable challenge. To get a bird's-eye view of the sheer scale of the mountains, I'm taking to the skies with the most qualified pilot in Saudi Arabia. Prince Sultan bin Salman bin Abdulaziz was the first Arab, the first Muslim, and the first member of royalty in space. In 1985, he was part of a mission on board the US space shuttle Discovery, so I should feel safe with him.
No, not at all. You're perfectly on time. Excellent. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Excellent weather. Is it good flying weather? Let's see. What do you...
Where do you want to go?
Well, ideally, as I say, I believe that the caravans mainly came up this side of the mountains. They obviously couldn't go on the ridge because the camels didn't like it. So if it's possible, after we've flown along the ridge, maybe to have a look down that side, see if there's any sign of what route they might have taken.
So we'll just fly this way. Basically fly the ridge.
We'll follow the ridge down.
Down to probably Al-Shafa.
And Al-Shafa.
These are two mountain areas, and they're absolutely stunning. Al-Shafa to me is the nicer area.
Really?
There I was, thinking we would be going in the Prince's brand new private jet, and we walk straight past. To this. I've flown in tiny planes, I've flown in helicopters, but I've never flown in a glider. And although this one is state-of-the-art with a built-in propeller, frankly, I'm terrified. And I've never worn a parachute before, let alone used one.
Like that?
Yes.
I'm very excited. I have to confess I am a little bit nervous.
Me too.
No, you're not supposed to say that. amazing. It's like magic.
2,000 feet up, the prince decides to switch off the engine. But there's a technical problem.
Is everything okay?
I'm not getting the propeller is stuck. No, it's okay. Okay, now we got it. So let the engine, the hood open a little bit. So see now it's good. It's quiet.
It's beautiful, actually. I feel quite calm. It was just when you said the propeller was stuck that I started to feel a little bit nervous. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's like magic.
Take this off for a second and see.
No noise.
Many different routes were taken by the caravans through these notoriously rugged foothills. In fact, the Asir Mountains may well have been given their name by the frankincense traders, because Asir is the Arabic word for difficult.
So beautiful driving through here, but to see it from here, you just get, as you said, it's so difficult to get an idea of scale of this country. And for me, trying to follow this incense route, to see the journey that those caravans took,
that's right,
to be able to battle with a landscape like this, with all their wealth, you know, on those camels, it's just an incredible feat, really, of human endeavour.
Soaring peacefully over the peaks and valleys was actually wonderful, until the prince decided to show me what a glider can really do.
Oh, we're heading straight for the runway. You're insane! Oh my God! Oh, I'm terrified. I hardly dare look. Ah! You're mad! I know we've only just met, and I know you're Your Royal Highness, but
Back on the ground and very much relieved, I'm travelling with Dowie to meet a remote tribe of people who know every route through this vast maze of rock. To find them, we have to drive deep into what was once forbidden territory.
the area that we're driving through now is well known for being kind of quite far away from the influence of Riyadh. This is a big tribal area, and Dowie is taking me to meet one of the few tribes that has managed to hold on to its traditional dress and customs in Saudi Arabia.
Until recently, the government has kept this region off limits to both foreign and Saudi travellers. Unlike the majority of tribes here, they've refused to integrate into Saudi society. Instead of being welcomed with frankincense smoke like elsewhere in Saudi, I'm met by a small boy with a big gun.
You see this
right,
boy?
I'm going to watch myself around you.
This was his machine gun with traditional dress. Okay, and he's a proudest machine gun.
How old is this boy?
11 years.
11 years old, and he has a machine gun. Is it very heavy?
ثقيل عليك؟
No,
it's not heavy.
And then the rest of the men arrive with a song and a dance and more guns.
It's amazing. They managed to look fierce and very elegant at the same time.
Despite being armed to the teeth, they wear flowers in their hair and are known as the Flower Men. In return for their welcome dance, I offer them some of my frankincense.
So this is from Oman. Oh. You use this?
هذا من عمان جايبينه طازج.
Which instead of burning, they decide to eat.
You eat with them, Kate.
I'm going to eat it. I don't like it. I think it tastes like soap.
Taste it.
It tastes like soap. Where does the tradition of the flowers come from?
آلاف السنين. Thousands of years, about more than 2,000–3,000 years, when they still start living in the mountains area, they found this dress suitable for mountains. It's about every week or every 10 days. When the smell gone, they change it with a new one.
Ah, okay, so it's all about the perfume.
Yes.
It's all about the smell.
It's all about the smell and perfume. You want to give you this one as a gift.
Oh.
Yes, so you can use it since we are in Flowerman area.
My head's a little bit smaller than yours. How does that look?
It's beautiful.
It's good? Number one?
Oh. So you are a flower woman now.
Once the frankincense traders made it through the foothills, they followed flatter ground north towards what is today the Muslim world's most important sacred site.
Yeah.
Ahead of us is the city of Mecca, the birthplace of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. But I can't go there, as the road signs make very clear. It's out of bounds for non-Muslims and forbidden by Saudi law. The traders walk directly from the Asir Mountains through Mecca on their journey north. We have to make a diversion 100 miles west to the city of Jeddah. This is where Muslims from all over the world arrive to make the pilgrimage to Mecca, known as the Hajj. It's a spiritual journey which all able-bodied Muslims are required to make at least once in their lifetime. Today, around 3 million pilgrims come to Jeddah each year. After frankincense and before oil, the Hajj was the economic backbone of the whole country. Local historian, known as Engineer Sami, tells me how pilgrims made Jeddah a trade centre.
The pilgrims, when they come here for the Hajj, part of their journey is to trade, to bring things to sell and buy things, and this has been known for hundreds of years.
Pilgrims travelled here from every corner of the globe, and over time, many of them stayed, making Jeddah today one of the most ethnically diverse cities in the Middle East. The pilgrims' exotic goods were their currency, and frankincense has always been in demand.
Smell that?
Yes.
Frankincense everywhere, and for sale everywhere.
Yes, yes. It's very important commodity for the usage. And there are different kinds. Some you burn to have nice smell in the sitting room, or in the entrance, or the staircase, different.
Can we just have a look?
Yes, we can. Yes, yes, yes.
Look at all this stuff. Salaam alaikum. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about the incense that you are selling. Engineer Sami was saying you have different incense for different rooms, even. What about this one? Where would you burn this one?
Mix.
Mix?
Yeah.
You could use in the sitting room?
Sitting room.
Yeah.
This one for bedroom.
Look at you both. You're being very naughty. Is it going to mean that I'm going to run away with you, Engineer Sami? Are you going to smell it?
Smell.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
It's quite potent. Is it very expensive? How much for that jar?
25.
25 riyal?
Yeah.
But for your wife, I'm sure she is worth it.
Very cheap. For her? Very cheap.
As sunset approaches, Sami wants me to experience Jeddah's unique call to prayer.
Wow. What timing! From every direction.
36 mosques in 1 square kilometer. And it's been calling for 1,400 years.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And it is the same word from the time of the Prophet. And look, people closing their shops, and everybody is going to pray. Look, they're closing.
Just magical. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
It's such an incredible sight and sound that I find myself completely overcome.
And soon they will be reading Quran, and maybe one of them will be reading the story of Jesus and Mary, because it's in the Quran, and Moses. Look at the shop they're closing to go to play.
I feel quite moved.
It is a nice experience.
Beautiful.
Yes. And it's authentic, and it's human. It's not recorded. So each guy is calling. And in the past, 100 years ago, before the introduction of the microphones, they used to go all the way to the top, and he calls. And then everybody hears.
Despite being the gateway to Mecca, Jeddah has a reputation of being the most liberal of Saudi's cities. But still, with no bars or nightclubs, no concerts or cinemas, and men and women banned from mingling, what do young Saudis do to have fun? Well, this is what the boys do. They play with their cars. The average cost of these modified cars is around £40,000. It's a price that most of these guys who are students can afford. The government pays them a salary to go to university.
Well, of all the things that I didn't expect to see in Saudi Arabia, it was this. My ride, Jeddah style. It's absolutely mad. There's probably, I don't know, a few hundred people here, and these just extraordinary cars everywhere. And it's like a kind of fairground and a freak show, but for automobiles. Why do people do this? This is so mad. Can I go in and just rent it? Okay. Is it all right? Yeah. Can I? Move out of the way, guys. This is a girl driving. You've no idea how dangerous this is. Is the handbrake on? Oh my goodness. I've probably burnt up half a Saudi oil field, and that is amazing. Can I see this one? Because it just looks mad.
This car has the strongest hydraulic system in the whole, maybe in the whole Middle East.
Really? So everything is about hydraulics?
Yes, everything.
Although these cars are built to attract attention, sadly the boys don't have much chance to impress the girls. The authorities don't let these cars out on public roads. They're confined to car parks, like this one.
So great. I am, I'm terrified.
Just a few blocks away, some of Jeddah's girls are having their own fun. But what seems like an innocent game of basketball is actually a risky political statement. Powerful religious clerics have banned girls playing sport in public, deeming it un-Islamic. These students and housewives play their basketball on private property, but despite that, they still risk being arrested. And Dowie isn't happy about them playing either.
Now then. What does that look mean?
I don't know.
What's the problem?
It's the first time I saw this thing.
First time you've seen women playing sport?
Yes.
Any sport at all?
Any sport at all.
Does it say anything in the Quran about women not playing sport?
No, there is nothing in the Quran saying women cannot play sport. If they are only women, that I will accept it. But when there is a man, I cannot accept it.
Mina started the club 2 years ago with 6 members. Today, there are more than 100. They are one of 7 teams in a women's basketball league in Jeddah.
For a lot of women in Saudi Arabia, this is very unusual and not acceptable in some cultures within Saudi Arabia. It is a tribal belief, and hopefully that will start changing with globalization, the world being a global village.
What if a female member of your tribe was a really good athlete, good enough to go and compete in the rest of the world?
This depends on the family, about the family. If the family accept,
yeah,
why not?
Would you accept?
No.
Why? I can't understand. Why would you take someone's opportunity away?
That's my way of life. Enjoy.
Okay, in my tribe,
you can't blame.
I don't accept what you're saying. I can't. I cannot understand, and I'm sorry, because you've been an amazing host to me in this country, and it's your country, but that makes no sense. None.
That's your way. I have my way also.
Yeah.
The next morning, we leave Jeddah. And I have more annoying questions for Dowie.
You know what I don't understand?
What?
I don't understand why women are not allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia.
It's not about Islam, about government, no. It's about traditional way.
It's a traditional thing?
Yes.
So as if you were married, you wouldn't let your wife drive?
No.
At all?
At all.
Ever?
Ever.
So what does she do in an emergency?
You call taxi or call one of the relatives.
Yeah, then you've got to wait and your child's choking or something and you've got to wait for a flipping taxi. I mean, we all know how long that takes. They never turn up when
just 5 minutes. About 5 minutes, everything is solved here.
I shouldn't be surprised. Since the time of the frankincense traders, women haven't been allowed to drive camels here either. Camels were once the most important assets of the desert tribes because their lives depended on them, and their welfare was traditionally the full-time occupation of men. Prince Bandar is the head of the Wildlife and Conservation Department of Saudi Arabia.
At the time we were poor and we were living in the desert, life itself was camels.
Right.
We made our clothes from their fur.
Yeah.
We made our tents from their fur. We ate their meat. We drank their milk. We rode them. We carried heavy stuff on them. We even use, excuse my language, their urine as a medicine.
Today, while the Saudis no longer depend on them, they're still very much in love with their camels.
These are one of the best herds in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Nova, this is Nova.
Nova.
This is Nova. My uncle favorite camel.
How can
and
you
he feeds her.
How can
it's just they are like our children in our family. You could have 100 children and you will tell them apart.
Really?
Yes. And we depended on them in the past for everything in the desert. Now it is time for us to be to pay back what they have given us.
Prince Bandar and his family are paying the camels back by investing in a breeding program to ensure that the finest specimens survive for future generations. They have 3 pedigree herds of different colours, gold, white and black, and each has its own characteristics of beauty.
One of the signs of the beauties is to have big head. You want a long jaw and wide.
And very wide.
And you want an ear that to be in the lighter color camels to be pointing back. And the lips, they should be long. This is the black camels. The difference between the lighter colors and the darker colors in the signs of beauty, it comes in the ear. Look at this ear. This ear is longer and upright.
Yeah.
This is another herd. It's the herd of my brother Prince Sultan bin Saud. This is one of the top camels in Saudi Arabia for this color. This one is absolutely at least 9.5 out of 10. This camel could be worth, you know, a couple of millions.
That's about £500,000.
This is one of the best stud camels in this color in Saudi Arabia.
Now you see,
fantastic looking camel.
Is he dribbling because there are all these beautiful women around?
Exactly. Because, well, he would not have no heart and no feeling if he did not get excited with all these beauties around, you know?
The other animal the desert tribes of Saudi Arabia have relied upon for survival is the falcon. This is a Saker falcon, sadly now an endangered species, due in part to the illegal trapping of wild birds for the global falconry trade.
They are part of the desert tradition, first of all, because of the necessity of catching food. A man with a good falcon can go on his camels or his horse and catch 4 or 5 birds, a few rabbits, and feed the whole group and the whole clan. But also I want to say something, that when the game birds fly and you release that falcon after them, you feel that your heart have grown wings and flown. It gave the owner a feeling that he is flying.
Travelling north from Mecca, the traders entered the most tightly controlled territory of their route. These deserts were ruled from an ancient city that was built into the rocks of the Asir Mountains.
It's easy to think that a journey through the Arabian Peninsula would be, well, quite boring really, as far as landscapes are concerned anyway, that it would just be lots of flat desert and sand. But it's been incredibly varied, and I think this landscape really takes the prize. It's so beautiful. It's like a giant natural sculpture park.
These are the ruins of Madin Salah. The people who lived here ensured the safe passage of the trade caravans in return for large taxes, which made them exceedingly wealthy.
I think of all the places that I've visited so far along the incense trail, it's this one that offers the most tangible proof of just how influential those ancient trade routes were on the people living at the time. This plain here was once a vibrant city. It was established about 200 BC by a tribal group called the Nabateans, and their rise and fall almost exactly matches the height and decline of those overland trade routes. But as ever, it's not the houses of the living that tell the tale, but the houses of the dead.
All that remains of the great city are 131 private tombs, each of them hand-carved out of solid rock. Built for the families of the city's elite, their elaborate facades stand testament to the great wealth that frankincense brought to the region.
When archaeologists first started working here, this room was absolutely full of stand, and none of these stone benches were visible. But it's believed that this was some sort of meeting house, somewhere that important members of the town would meet to discuss affairs of state, or probably religious issues as well, because this entrance down here, which is staggering, this natural break in the rock, led to the most holy area of the city. And along the walls, you can see these little niches carved out, little places for the local deities. And there's centuries of inscriptions and graffiti, some in Aramaic, some in modern-day Arabic, charting the journeys that thousands and thousands of people must have taken through here. And just imagine, you've come on your caravan all the way from Oman, and all you want to do is thank your gods for your safe passage thus far, and to pray that you'll be able to continue your journey unharmed and get lots of money for those precious goods that you were carrying. And what I love about this place is it may have been a religious centre for the Nabateans, but they were incredibly democratic, and they knew that the people that came here, that had brought them their wealth, would also want to worship their gods. So what they did here was the niche in the rock there, you can see, is empty. And what they could do is bring their own little deities, put them in that niche and worship them, which is just, I think, the most lovely idea, that anyone could come here and it would be meaningful to them. And what a place to worship.
This desert utopia came to an end at around 100 years after the birth of Christ, when the overland trade route finally stopped being profitable. Frankincense that was once carried here by the ships of the desert began instead to be transported by ships at sea. The development of sea trade meant that merchant boats could sail along the length of the Red Sea in around 60 days, more than twice as fast as camels taking the overland route. The Saudi Arabian Coast Guard are granting me extraordinary access to see evidence of this sea trade route for myself. I'm joining Eric Mason, a professional diver who recently discovered an untouched and ancient shipwreck. With 35 years diving experience, he's one of the few with permission to explore Saudi's highly guarded and pristine reefs.
So now they've stopped all shore diving.
Wow, that's
only
brilliant.
escorted diving, yeah?
Yeah.
So they said if you can't respect the reef, then stay off it. So
Wow.
it's good for us.
That's great.
Good for us.
That's
Conservation.
Great. Yeah, brilliant.
Reliable sea trade started along this coast when a fleet of Roman warships was sent here by Julius Caesar to protect merchants' boats from pirates. Soon, even the smallest of privately owned boats were able to make safe passage, and everything from cinnamon to pepper and, of course, frankincense sailed north towards the Roman Empire. We're heading 30 nautical miles offshore to explore what Eric thinks is one of many ancient merchant shipwrecks along the route. He discovered it by chance.
So how did you find it? Because, I mean, it's...
Purely accident. We sheltered behind, the same as the captain of the shipwreck did.
Yeah.
We came behind the reef in the storm.
Yeah.
And we were messing around looking for something to eat.
2 hours offshore, we see waves breaking on a reef. Eric thinks the ancient merchant ship was sailing north when it hit this reef and sank. The remains of it still lie on the seabed. The Saudi Coast Guard have given me permission to dive with Eric, but only according to their rules. Unsurprisingly, I'm forbidden from bringing anything to the surface and also from revealing the precise location of the wreck.
Well, I have to say, diving in Saudi was not something I expected to be able to do.
It's actually not something many people have done.
I know, I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, you should be. Yeah.
Eric, to tie it up with our incense route, to, you know, something that you think of as being purely overland, but of course, it was the sea that took over.
It really did.
And to
it
see
destroyed the land
of that,
routes, in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to see evidence of that is going to be amazing.
No question. Simply because it hasn't been dived, people haven't been coming here. So we've been blessed. We've been blessed by paranoia. Okay.
Okay.
Tank open?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, it's nice to be not wearing that blinking abaya, just for once. I'm amazed you didn't make me wear it underwater, Eric.
Why not? This is Saudi Arabia, please remember where you are.
I know.
Are you okay?
I am.
And then we enter another world and another time. 15 meters below us, in crystal clear waters, lies the skeleton of the shipwreck. In front of us are the wooden beams of the ship, poking out of the seabed. This is the remains of the top deck. The rest of the ship is buried deep in the sand. Terracotta jugs are scattered everywhere, many almost completely intact. This is almost certainly only the second time this wreck has been dived, and none of these relics have been studied or dated. It's extraordinary that it hasn't been plundered, and to see so much evidence of that ancient cargo. Then, amazingly, Eric finds what appears to be an incense burner. Its shape is exactly the same as the burners still in use today.
Was it what you expected?
Oh, better.
Oh.
It was amazing.
Good.
I can't believe we saw an incense burner 20 meters below the Red Sea.
To dive an untouched wreck is a unique experience, and one I shall never forget. Today, I felt like an explorer finding something that has remained hidden for centuries. But then my entire journey through Saudi Arabia has been one of discovery. Some of my preconceptions were right, many more were wrong. Now, on the other side of the Red Sea, awaits another journey through an even more ancient territory. Egypt. In the next programme, I follow the Frankincense trail through the land of the pharaohs, where its smoke was used to connect kings with gods.
So that's someone offering incense.
And is still used today by the descendants of the ancient Nubian tribe. I sail along the Nile and witness the blessing of an ecstatic Christian crowd.
It's actually getting a little bit nerve-wracking now.
And through the teeming metropolis of Cairo, the trail leads me deep inside one of the great wonders of the world. And then in the Sinai Desert, I take part in an extraordinary ceremony with a Bedouin healer.
On Newsnight, the Defence Secretary's aide resigns in protest at Afghan policy. Does Alan Turing deserve a posthumous apology for chemical castration? And is it time we started to get real about the fact that Britain didn't win the war?
And on the way next, it's Mock the Week.